get a lot of students coming in each year who are wondering whether or not to disclose their learning differences on their applications. Could you speak to that a little bit?
Certainly. I typically tell students that it's a personal choice as to whether or not they choose to disclose their disability in their college essay. However, there are situations where it might actually be in their best interest. So for example, if a student was denied accommodations on the SAT or the ACT, and their score really does not reflect their full potential, then it might be worth saying that they only recently were approved for extended time, or that they have had a history of extended time, which explains why their grades are superior to their standardized testing scores. There may be a situation where a student perhaps was not diagnosed with any kind of disability until they were in their junior year of high school. So perhaps their 10th grade transcript looks only mediocre. Maybe they had more B's than A's in 10th grade, and then by 11th and 12th grades, they had straight A's. And in those cases, it might make sense to share that once the disability was diagnosed and either they started treatment or they received accommodations, that it allowed them to perform at their full potential. I think it's really important for the student also in doing that to kind of reassure the admissions committee that they know what they need to do to be successful in college. So that if the college admissions people read the essay and say, oh, well, now I know this student has a disability, how are they going to fare here at this institution? The student has already answered that question. I know that I simply need extended time, which typically is offered by most universities. The other consideration is some universities are probably more disability friendly than others, and if there's any concern about disclosing whether it's the specific nature of the disability or whether there's anything at all, you can always call the disability office or whoever oversees that program anonymously and just ask, what is the culture on campus with regard to disabilities? Is it an accommodating institution? Is it a place that is open to working with students with disabilities or not?
Something came to mind when you were speaking. I know that on the Common App and some of the college applications, there's a special question where students can actually put in any background information, such as a learning difference. It may not be that their entire personal statement is about the disability, but they could also list that background information, correct, on the application?
I think that's often a place where they would put it, unless there's a story to tell and they really want to share kind of the full story of the disability. Otherwise, I would say that it should go in that kind of section that addresses additional information.
And now for our viewers, we're just going to share a sample set of colleges and universities that are more learning difference friendly. And Julie, could you just speak to some of the accommodations that these institutions have?
So these colleges that you see have various degrees of programs available and services available for students that have learning differences and other disabilities. Such that it's very important to research what they have to offer. For example, some schools have a whole special admission process. If you need to be considered in a special group of students that may have learning differences, maybe that weren't identified early on, and you want consideration to be given to that, separate from the issue of disclosure to the general admission committee, there are certain schools that may give consideration specifically to this group and adjust their requirements with this in mind. Other schools have very comprehensive programs for students with disabilities. Some of them require an extra fee, some of them don't. And this can make a very large institution feel more manageable and feel more less overwhelming because of the office that will provide tutoring in some cases, coaching in other cases, as well as all the standard academic accommodations. Smaller schools, some of them may have fewer services available. It may be one office that oversees a lot of different programs on campus, including those for students with disabilities. So depending on the level of support that you need, it's really important to consider what is offered by the institution. And these colleges that you see, in one way or another, do have more comprehensive support and programming for students.
Thank you so much, Julie.